I don't know if this news report is real, but I don't need a news report to tell me that there's no video of Pooh Shiesty holding a gun.
What started as a routine studio meeting involving Gucci Mane and Pooh Shiesty is now being described as something far more serious and potentially career-defining. Because the deeper this case goes, the more it begins to expose a situation that doesn't seem to have a clean outcome for anyone involved. Early reports frame this as a robbery and kidnapping incident tied to a Dallas studio, but as more details continue to surface, that narrative starts to shift. This is no longer just about what allegedly happened that night. It's about what can actually be proven and what happens next inside a courtroom. And right now, that difference is where everything begins to get complicated. According to federal allegations, the situation was far more intense than initially expected. Authorities claim that Lentrell Williams Jr., known as Pooh Shiesty, allegedly produced a firearm and forced a victim to sign a contract release under pressure. Multiple individuals were reportedly present, weapons displayed, and high-value items taken. On paper, that sounds like a strong case, but what follows introduces uncertainty that could change everything.
Aside from learning that the ninth and final suspect has been arrested, we've been able to obtain video which shows the FBI at Pooh Shiesty's home the day he was arrested. Take a look at that video. This happened in Memphis. Federal authorities say Shiesty was the ringleader behind the attack on Gucci Mane here in Dallas. That incident happened back in January at a music studio located off Dallas Parkway. The DOJ says Gucci Mane and two others were allegedly kidnapped and robbed at gunpoint. They say 9 people were involved, including Pooh Shiesty's father and Big 30. For background, Pooh Shiesty signed onto Gucci Mane's record label back in 2020. And according to the DOJ, Pooh Shiesty is the one who set up the meeting to discuss his recording contract.
In cases like this, the expectation is simple: clear evidence, undeniable proof, and a timeline that leaves no room for doubt. But here, that clarity doesn't fully exist. Instead, the case begins to rely heavily on statements and recollections from those involved. And the moment a case leans in that direction, it becomes unpredictable. Because now, the outcome is shaped not just by evidence, but by what people say and how those statements hold up under pressure. During court proceedings, a federal agent confirmed a key detail. There was no direct video evidence clearly showing Pooh Shiesty committing the alleged acts, no confirmed footage directly tying weapons to the accusations, and no definitive physical evidence recovered from certain locations. Yet despite that, the court still found probable cause to move forward based on phone data, surrounding surveillance, and witness statements. That decision shows the direction of this case. It's no longer about what can be seen, but what can be argued and believed. And that's where the situation shifts from legal to strategic. Because when testimony becomes the foundation, the most important voice becomes the one who was actually there. In this case, that points directly to Gucci Mane. His role isn't just relevant, it's central. What he does next could shape the entire outcome. If he decides to fully cooperate, the case strengthens immediately. His testimony could fill the gaps that physical evidence cannot. But that decision carries weight beyond the courtroom. Within hip-hop culture, that level of cooperation isn't just legal, it becomes a permanent label. On the other hand, if he chooses not to testify, the case weakens. Without direct testimony, the prosecution relies on indirect evidence. And in that scenario, the possibility opens that Pooh Shiesty could walk free, not because the allegations disappear, but because they cannot be proven beyond reasonable doubt. At the same time, there's another layer that cannot be ignored: the business side. In the music industry, contracts represent money, ownership, and long-term control. If an artist is released under questionable circumstances, the financial impact doesn't disappear, it shifts, and that shift can create pressure behind the scenes. This raises a bigger question: was this situation purely personal, or was there a financial motive involved? Because when contracts, money, and personal relationships collide, situations like this rarely stay simple. They evolve into something much bigger than the original incident.
In this situation, I'm okay with whatever Gucci does.
Yeah.
I'm okay if he went in there and said, "Them niggas robbed me." I'm okay with that because, like I tell people all the time, Gucci, we get out of the street game and get in the rap game so that the rules do not apply to us. Now, but the people that said, "Oh man, Gucci snitch, man, he need to keep it to the streets and this and that right there." Well, it's not streets. When you're dealing with Atlantic Records or these big old record companies, these are banks.
Yeah.
When they gonna give you money.
What started as a reported studio confrontation has now turned into a situation that could impact reputations, careers, and future industry dynamics. The tension has moved beyond that single night. It's now about long-term consequences. Legal analysts continue to point out one key weakness. There is still no confirmed footage clearly showing Pooh Shiesty holding a weapon. The timeline between the incident and arrests raises questions, and most importantly, the case continues to rely heavily on witness testimony rather than solid physical proof. That means the final outcome may not depend on what is definitively proven, but on what is convincingly presented and believed.
He just said this week, 9 individuals, including well-known music artists, kidnapped. This happened back on January 10th. Why is the internet wrong? Well, people who are saying that there's this guy on video pulling a gun on Gucci, if the feds have you on video pulling a gun on Gucci while you're on home confinement, not allowed to have a gun on January 10th, you get arrested January 11th, maybe January 12th. By February, you're cooked. By March, you're already violated and doing your time. This is April. Now, one thing that's to note, I think the fact that we're in April and this came out today is telling, because Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, was fired today, and we need to turn the page quickly. But I think this case seems, we'll see. I think obviously the feds have charged kidnapping, and the reason why you charge kidnapping is because it's not larceny. The guy didn't rob the recording deal rights. You're never going to prove to a jury that Pooh Shiesty had a premeditated plan to fly out to Dallas and then he's going to pull a gun on Gucci and get Gucci to sign away the contract rights. That's ridiculous. Okay, there was a lot of people in the room. Apparently, there was some violence in that room because the most injuries that we've heard of is some guy got choked and there was some abrasions on his neck. Okay, so something happened. But then beyond that, the feds haven't really put anything. I don't know if this news report is real, but I don't need a news report to tell me that there's no video of Pooh Shiesty holding a gun. Facts. Pooh Shiesty is the most important person on this indictment, the only guy the feds really care about. Facts. Pooh Shiesty allegedly had that gun on him on January 10th. Facts. Pooh Shiesty was not picked up until April 1st. Facts. They are not letting Pooh Shiesty to build a case out on some other people who they don't care about, stay out for 3 months while they have him on camera with a gun, and potentially he could have done another crime, and then they would have been never going to happen. Okay, now let's talk about the case, right? So what you have in this case is a case of 6 people who have been charged, okay? And 6 people are there and present. What did each of them do? What is each of their roles? Was there a conspiracy? Did they actually plan and plot to go and be there? None of that shit is going to get proven from the fact that the ankle monitor places him there. None of that shit is going to get proven from the fact that you have surveillance camera from the drugstore across the street showing people leave. None of that shit is going to get proven by any of that. What it will come down to is witness testimony, and that's all it is. And so you're going to see the case play out.
And that brings everything back to one decision. The same decision now sitting at the center of this entire situation. This is no longer just about a robbery or contract dispute. It has evolved into something deeper, involving reputation, pressure, and perception. What happens next will not only affect those involved, but may also shape how similar situations are viewed in the future. Because now, the question isn't what happened, it's what happens next. If Gucci Mane testifies, the case moves in one direction. If he doesn't, everything could shift the other way. And if that happens, this won't just be remembered as a legal case, it will be remembered as a moment where everything depended on a single decision, and nothing about the outcome was ever guaranteed.